Apparently, I have to have the mic turned on, but how's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper, and my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. So, over on the total for the daily, we did try to make it bounce. This is very positive, but we're getting stuck at the top of that golden pocket area. Remember, we want to break above this golden pocket area and hold if we're going to have the potential to run to our 674 and potentially run further if we can sustain bullish momentum from that point. Our RSI and stochastic are pushing forward. That's our red line and our double line here on market cipher B. We are seeing our VWAP, our yellow wave, attempt to break through that neutral. Momentum is trying to push forward that blue wave. We do have a green dot as that VWAP is pushing forward. So if that VWAP can continue forward, we will see momentum gain further strength, and that will help this money flow, which you can't really see right now, but if you look back here, we do have a bit of green. That's the money flow. Green means we're bullish, red means we're bearish. Red is under zero, green is above zero. So if that VWAP continues to gain strength, that will push momentum further, and then that money flow can gain strength, and as that money flow gains strength, that helps push us up as well. So but over on the 4 hour here, we are trying to push up. We do technically have lower highs with lower lows, so I would still exercise caution as that can create that bearish channel. That bearish channel can push us down. Remember, it's not a descending channel because the lows and highs don't connect very clean, so you can't draw a very straight parallel channel. If you could, that would be a bullish pattern that could take you up, but right now we don't really have that. You could try to say that this run-up may have been a bit of a parallel channel, but the highs and lows really don't connect well for me, in my opinion. So I would not have traded on that. But we did have indicators that we could try to meet some support here. So our VWAP, our yellow wave, is sustaining bullish momentum. We do have higher highs with higher lows. That is a bullish trend. That bullish trend can push that blue wave, our momentum forward, and as that yellow and blue wave push up, our money flow, that red wave, could gain some strength. If it gains strength on the 4 hour here, that would help push the daily further up. Over on the 2 hour here, we are trying to push toward that yellow EMA, so our third lowest EMA, that is very positive. If we can keep breaking these EMAs and keep pushing forward, that will give us that bullish momentum we need to ride forward and continue bullish momentum that could break this descending channel or descending pattern that we have been in, where it's that bearish consolidation. Our VWAP does want to pull back, momentum is rounding away, stochastic is starting to weaken, and the RSI does want to pull back. If that VWAP does end up breaking that neutral, I would exercise caution, but right now we do look positive as that VWAP is trying to sustain above that neutral, is starting to round. So if we can get that higher low here and get consistent or higher highs, that would create a bullish trend. A bullish trend would then push that momentum. It really can't go further up here, but as that momentum would remain bullish and remain strong in the bullish trend, that would help give that money flow strength. And that money flow gaining strength on these lower time frames is good because that will help push up the 4 hour and the daily, which we need in order to continue forward and end up breaking those major resistance areas like that 674. Over on the 1 hour here, we are seeing our EMA bands start to get some pickup, and they are starting to push through each other. This is positive. This shows we do have bullish momentum, and it is continuing. That VWAP is a little dicey. It did have a bullish trend. We had higher highs with higher lows, and then we kind of fell flat. We did try to push toward that neutral though, and we are making a bounce, so that could be very, very positive. Excuse me, I have some hiccups here. That could be very positive as that VWAP could gain some further strength, and that momentum would remain bullish. With those two remaining bullish on the 1 and 2 hour, if that 4 hour becomes bullish, we could have a strong run forward and retrace a lot of the losses we have seen. And as the total is representative of the market cap of all of our altcoins, that would mean altcoins would run up. So over on Bitcoin dominance for the daily, we'll just stick here in the daily. We are going to delete this bull flag possibility, as that's not looking like it's going to play out. That could be positive, but I would just watch. Remember, we could see Bitcoin dominance slip while Bitcoin goes up and altcoins go up. That would just be representative of people either buying more altcoins or stablecoins versus Bitcoin. Remember, this is just representative of Bitcoin held versus stablecoins and altcoins. we do have that gap to the bottom here on dominance. So we could see dominance drop all the way to the gap. We will zoom out so we can get our fixed range volume profile. That gap is just above that point control, that blue line. So that point control is kind of the neutral area between bullish and bearish momentum. If we bounce off that area, we hit that gap and we make a bounce, that would be positive. That means we could make another run up toward this value area high, that red line. However, if we broke that point control and then started seeing red candles, you would push down to that value area low. Again, we show more of this on the master in the trade, but stochastic is rounding away. RSI is pulling back as a result. Momentum is rounding off. That VWAP is picking up some bearish strength, so I would watch those lower time frames close if you're interested. That could end up breaking us lower if we're not careful. Money flow is pulling back. Thank you for joining us. So overall, dominance does look like it could slip. That I would exercise caution, but that doesn't mean Bitcoin has to break down if dominance does slip. So over on Bitcoin for the day, our Bitcoin futures for the daily, we are seeing a little bit of a bounce here as we start our candle for tomorrow. We are trying to bounce toward that point of control. So again, if we can break that and get green candles above that, that's positive. Or getting green candles below it and pushing to break it can be positive, providing you don't get rejected. If you got rejected, then you would likely see this rising channel bring us lower. Remember, this rising channel could bring us to that 61,790, and if we don't hold at that value area low, it could bring us to that 56,995, so about 57k even. That's a psychological area. Remember, even numbers are psychological support resistance. Again, we cover that in the trading videos as well. RSI is pulling back, stochastic is dropping, momentum is favoring bearish, and that VWAP is in the bearish territory, our yellow wave. So as that yellow wave favors bearish, momentum, our blue wave, will continue to favor bearish, and money flow, the red wave, will deepen into the red, meaning it's gaining more bearish momentum and could end up breaking us down. But we are seeing a little bit of a bounce here. We do have a gap with this bounce, so that's not very good. A push up would be good. We did bounce off 65.5, but we have a gap. That means we could end up rounding away and dropping to fill that gap. If we don't meet strong support at that 65.5, we could end up rejecting down and making a lower high with a lower low that could give us that initial breakdown. So I would exercise caution there. Stochastic is trying to bounce. RSI wants to push forward. VWAP is trying to break bullish, that yellow wave. So as long as that yellow wave can remain more bullish, our momentum, our blue wave, could push forward, and our money flow, that red wave, could start to gain some strength. Remember that money flow shows if we're buying or selling. So if we're gaining strength, we have more buying than selling, and that is overall positive and can push the higher time frames up. Over on the 2 hour, I would watch for that gap here as well. Stochastic is trying to run up. We do have that blue above that orange, so that is very positive. RSI is running forward. That VWAP does want to run up. Momentum is gaining strength. We have a double green dot. So that double green dot, remember, does show as that VWAP crosses bullish that we could continue to run up. Money flow does want to push forward, that red wave. So as that VWAP and momentum continue forward, that money flow can continue up, and we can see that run forward. The lower time frames aren't very bullish right now, so I would just watch for that rejection. We could end up rejecting. Maybe we make a cup and handle. We have this round forward. This is our cup. We drop down, fill our gap, make a handle that's almost as big as the cup, and then we could push forward. That would be a bullish scenario. That could push us toward our 69k. However, if we push down toward that gapped area and reject, we're likely going to continue lower. Our VWAP is pushing forward, stochastic wants to run up, RSI is gaining strength, momentum and money flow do want to push forward, so if that VWAP can remain bullish, that would be positive for us overall. So over on Bitcoin for the daily, we did reject our descending channel. Excuse me, my ear itches. We did reject that channel. This is positive. This could create a rounding bottom. That rounding bottom could help propel us forward, but we are getting stuck on these EMA levels, so I would exercise caution. RSI does want to push up. VWAP is trying to gain bullish strength. Momentum does want to round forward, and the money flow is trying to bounce forward as well. So if that VWAP can continue to gain bullish strength, we will see momentum continue forward, and then that money flow could press forward and break us back into this channel, possibly meaning we could see it play out still. This could just be a manipulation push down. Remember, we did mention that sometimes the whales will try to push you down when you want to break up, and they'll try to break you up when you want to go down. So you do kind of have to exercise caution and try and think if the whales are trying to push you one way or another. That way they can scoop up more or sell off more. But that VWAP does overall have bullish strength on this 4 hour. It is starting to round away, but as long as we can continue the bullish strength, momentum will continue forward, money flow could bounce here, and that would strengthen that daily. And remember, if that daily is strong in the green with these other time frames, that does give us a chance to see that strong run forward. So over on the 2 hour here, our momentum is starting to round away. That blue wave, our VWAP is starting to round away as well. My ear just itches like crazy today. That VWAP does want to round away. We are trying to break through that neutral. I would watch if we continue lower, then we will see momentum start to pull back and that money flow will start to weaken. Overall, if that does happen, that will weaken those higher time frames, and then we could see a rejection from here, getting lower highs with lower lows and staying in a bearish trend. So overall, we don't have a descending channel, but we have lower highs with lower lows, creating a bearish environment. We are trying to consolidate, run up, consolidate, run up. So we are trying to see some bullish strength. We need that bullish strength to maintain. If it ends up breaking here, the bears are going to end up dropping us lower. Momentum is overall pulling back. RSI is weakening. That VWAP is in the bullish territory, but it's starting to round, so I would exercise caution. If it rounds and breaks through that neutral, we would have a lower high with lower lows, creating a bearish trend, and that bearish trend could break us lower. Momentum is falling, and that money flow would start to round away if that VWAP ends up breaking down, and that would in turn weaken those higher time frames, because remember, lower time frames lead your higher time frames. Over on graph for the daily, we do still have this bullish pattern. We are trying to bounce off that 300 EMA there. It is kind of hard to see. We can zoom in there. So that black line, that's our 300 EMA, but we're getting hung up on the 250. If we can't break through the 250, we could see a rejection and a push down. RSI is pushing away, stochastic's dropping down, momentum is picking up bearish favor. VWAP is indecisive, it is trying to break through that neutral, but we really don't have a decisive bullish trend. Until we get that bullish trend, momentum will stay bearish and our money flow won't pick up strength. So watch the lower time frames. If they pick up some strength, we could run forward yet. Over on this 4 hour, we have 3 touches at the bottom. We are trying to come back up, so I would watch. That could be positive for us. Stochastic is running forward. RSI wants to push up. VWAP is trying to gain strength. We do have a higher low with an attempt to make a higher high. This could be a bullish trend. Remember that bullish trend with the higher highs and higher lows can push us forward. Momentum does want to gain strength, and the money flow is pushing up. So if that VWAP can stay in the bullish territory, we will be able to continue forward. Over on the 2 hour here, momentum is starting to round away. I would watch, but is overall pushing forward. That VWAP is staying in a bullish trend. We have consistent highs with higher lows, creating that bullish trend to push momentum forward. And remember, as that blue wave, our momentum pushes forward, our money flow can go from being a red wave into a green wave, signaling a trend reversal, and that people are buying more than they're selling. Over on the 1 hour here, stochastic is trying to run up, RSI is trying to follow, momentum is pushing up, VWAP is remaining bullish, and the money flow is struggling. But if that VWAP can sustain a bullish trend here, momentum will continue forward, and that money flow will gain strength. That would in turn strengthen those higher time frames and help push us forward. So over on Ankr for the daily, we are trying to make a bounce off that support level of our 34.85. Excuse me real quick. So that could be positive. That VWAP does have higher lows. We are trying to push back toward neutral, so watch if we can get higher highs. If that VWAP can get higher highs, momentum could push forward, and we could see that money flow gain strength. However, if this VWAP continues to reject, we likely would see those lower support areas that we did warn against from yesterday. RSI is pulling back, stochastic's dropping down. Overall, we do have bearish strength there. Stochastic struggling to break above 30, and if it can't get above that 30%, then RSI will continue lower and bring price action with it. Over on the 4 hour here, we do have a bit of consolidation after a breakdown, so I would exercise caution. Remember, consolidation makes a flag, and after a breakdown, that is a bear flag, and a bear flag can end up dropping us down to that next support of our 30.79. Momentum is trying to run up. VWAP is stuck in the bullish territory. That is positive. If it can remain bullish, momentum could continue forward and money flow could run up. Stochastic does want to run up, and the RSI is pushing forward as well, so we do look positive on the 4 hour. We need that to continue on the lower time frames. On the 2 hour here, we do have a gap forward, so that is around our 37.17. Remember, just like the gap on Bitcoin, that could help push us forward, as gaps have an 80% likelihood to fill, and we also have a gap above us at that 39.38. So we have two potential zones where if total can solidify its bounce, we could run up and bounce too. That would mean we also could retest that 40.49 because we wouldn't be that far from it. So we could get a pretty decent run up in response to this quick breakdown. Momentum does want to round away. VWAP is trying to remain bullish. Momentum is pushing forward and the money flow wants to pick up some strength. So if that yellow wave, our VWAP can continue to push forward. Our blue wave, our momentum will continue up. And that red wave, our money flow, could break through that neutral, gain strength, turn green, and help give those higher time frames some strength and push us away from this breakdown possibility. Remember that breakdown could take us to that next support level. Over on the 1 hour, we did come up to the top of this pattern. We only have one touch to the bottom, so I would exercise caution unless you count back here. I would exercise caution because usually you see your move after 2 or 3 touches. And if you're going to invalidate a flag, usually it's after the third. You touch to the bottom 3 times, then you push up and break forward. But we can also see an early breakup, providing our indicators remain more bullish, like that VWAP. Our VWAP is in the bullish territory, pushing momentum forward. If that can sustain, money flow will push from being red into green, meaning people are buying more than they're selling. And if that happens on the 1 hour, that will start to strengthen those higher time frames. If the 1 and 2 hours start to gain an agreement, then the 4 hour can flip green. And when that 4 hour flips green with the 1 and 2 hour being green, that's when we can get those strong moves on the daily. So VWAP is trying to push up. Money flow is still bearish, but as long as that VWAP can maintain a bullish trend here, we could try to continue forward on Ankr. So over on XRP for the daily, we did get a strong bounce forward. This is a strong rounding bottom. We did stop just shy of the previous red candle. So I would exercise caution because we do have this current candle that is a long upper shadow candle that's created when you get a run up and then you get a rejection. So this is on the daily, so we tried to run up to that blue EMA. We did not break it and we are trying to push down. If this is followed by a strong red candle, that could invalidate that rounded bottom and push us lower instead. RSI does want to curl, Stochastic is trying to push forward, so if that Stochastic can continue to push forward our double line here, we can see that red line, our RSI, continue to push up, and that would in turn bring price action forward. However, if that Stochastic rounds away, that RSI likely will bring price action lower, and we do have that 45-44 zone, and then our 35-38 zone. Momentum is in the bearish territory, but it's trying to round forward. So if that VWAP can remain bullish, our blue wave, our momentum will continue forward, and our money flow could go from being red into the green and flip our trend. So over on the 4 hour here, we are struggling. If we do pull this over here, we are kind of struggling with that resistance area of that flag. We have retested it several times. We are getting slightly lower highs with lower lows, so I would exercise caution. They do not connect, so that is more of a bearish consolidation channel rather than a descending channel. Remember, a bearish consolidation channel can take you lower, where that descending channel does typically push you forward. Momentum does want to round away, Stochastic wants to round. We do have that orange above blue, so that's a bearish cross. If that bearish cross brings Stochastic lower, RSI likely will continue to taper off and bring price action lower. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory while that momentum rounds, so that could weaken that money flow if that VWAP does not make it curl forward and start to favor more bullish like it did back here. So over on the 2 hour, our VWAP is getting lower lows with lower highs, so we do have a bearish trend here. I would exercise caution because that is weakening momentum, and as that momentum starts to flip into the bearish territory under that zero, money flow will weaken and we could see price action drop lower. Stochastic is dropping down, RSI is dropping away as well, so overall I would exercise caution. Over on the 1 hour, my ears itching again. RSI is dropping down, Stochastic is pretty flat, so watch that Stochastic close. If it doesn't pick up strength, RSI is going to continue to drop, and that will bring price action lower. That could give us a shoulder ahead and possibly a shoulder. So I would be weary even if we do run up, because we could get a really goofy looking shoulder here that could try to push us lower in the long run. And if we do end up with that, that would break us down right around that 48-cent level. Our RSI is starting to weaken, momentum is in the bearish territory, VWAP does want to break up, and the money flow is bullish. So if that VWAP can sustain a bullish trend here, that momentum could pick up strength and money flow would remain green. However, if that VWAP gives us this lower high and then rejects and we get consistent lows, that momentum will pick up bearish strength and money flow will end up breaking down, which would in turn start to weaken those higher time frames. So last but not least, over on ALGO for the daily, we do have a bit of a rounded bottom going on here as well. So we are trying to round forward. Sorry, I'm trying to get this so you can see. RSI does want to push up. Stochastic is pretty flat, so I would exercise caution. If that stochastic cannot break forward, RSI is likely going to continue lower. VWAP is struggling. It wants to break that neutral, but it's just not getting through. Momentum is pretty beat down. It does have a green dot, but I would watch that VWAP close. If it just peaks into the bullish territory and then snaps back down, we likely will remain bearish and continue lower. We did get about half of our breakdown though, so at this point I am going to delete this breakdown possibility because it could be played out if the rest of the market continues to bounce. So watch if we're going to be bullish or not. That'll tell you if we can continue our drop or not. But we did come down right around that 1485, just shy of that 1412 we warned you about. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is pushing forward. VWAP has higher highs with higher lows, so that is a bullish trend. Momentum's picking up strength, and the money flow does want to push up. But if that VWAP does break down, I would exercise caution. Over on the 2 hour, we are trying to make a bit of a cup here. We could make a cup and handle, but I wouldn't really call it that. This could be more of a rounded bottom to push that EMA. If we can break and hold that EMA, that would be very positive. VWAP is pulling back, momentum starting to round, our stochastic is dropping down, and the money flow is favoring bearish. But if that VWAP can solidify this bounce, momentum will continue forward, and that money flow will gain some strength. Over on the 1 hour here, we do have a bit of a reversal arrow, so I would exercise caution as I could end up bringing us lower. They signal that a trend reversal is coming. We did try to run up a little bit, so I would just exercise caution. Sometimes they are a little goofy to read though. Stochastic does want to push up, RSI is pushing forward, momentum's gaining strength. VWAP is trying to run up. We do have a higher low, so if we can get consistent bullish favor, that will help push us forward, give that momentum strength, push that money flow into the bullish territory, and if that VWAP can sustain bullish momentum, we would see that pick up the higher time frames and help regain some losses here. So we could try to reclaim that 1618 if we see that bullish momentum continue. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night.